Talofa lava, malole soifua. This is a story of a traveling teacher teaching at Waianae High School and being the co-sponsor of the Samoan Club more than 20 years ago. Thank you for watching this story. Whaafatai lava, fa soifua. Welcome back to English Adventures with Teacher Kim, where I create lessons to help people improve their English skills and share my adventures as a traveling teacher. Right now, I'm in Siem Reap, Cambodia. But a little bit more than 20 years ago, I was a homeless social worker living in Hawaii. This is a story about that part of my adventure and something that happened during this time that ended up being one of the greatest honors of my life so far. So I was living in a room that I paid $300 a month for at a homeless shelter and sharing a bathroom with 60 other men who were mostly just coming out of prison. I wanted to do something to give my life purpose again and give back to my new community in Hawaii. I started volunteering as a reader to elementary and intermediate school students through an organization in Hawaii. And it was through this volunteer experience that I made a connection for a part-time job as a teacher at a high school in rural Hawaii. So for this first 6 to 8 weeks that it takes to get a paycheck from the education department in Hawaii, I was living in the shelter and traveling about 2 hours to and from work at the high school on the leeward coast of Hawaii. My first day of class, I made a big mistake. I was standing at the board. I was so excited and I wanted to do such a good job, and I was standing at the board writing the last few sentences on the board for my first class. And one of the women students in the class came in and shut off the fire extinguisher. The room filled with chemicals and everyone was exiting the classroom. That was my first day. It wasn't so easy, but from then on, I greeted all students at the doorway for every class. That works a lot better. So I worked for 6 to 8 weeks before my first paycheck, but when I had enough money accumulated, I moved to a studio apartment right next door to the high school. And I could hear the bell ring at the high school. But if the bell was ringing, I needed to be in class. I was listening every evening to beautiful music coming from the high school. So I walked over and saw 25 to 30 Samoan students and musicians practicing dance. I would just sit quietly and listen to the beautiful music. One day I was sitting there and a group of students gathered around me, and they were speaking in very obscene ways. It was extremely rude, I thought, but I just stayed quiet and listened for a while as they laughed and told stories that were not appropriate to be saying when you're standing next to a teacher. So when that part of the practice stopped, I asked the head musician if I could say something. I stood up. All eyes were on me, of the students. They wondered what this teacher had to say. And I addressed the issues that I saw happening with the activity of those students. I talked about the importance of representing family and community, and probably most importantly themselves, and ways to do it in a respectful way. That this is what people are seeing about you and thinking about the community. There was lots of discrimination against the Samoan students at this time, more than 20 years ago, and I hope it's improved since then. When they came to practice, they practiced in an open area under the roof of the main building. So what happened right after that was they saw that I still came. I enjoyed the music. I was friendly with people, and they asked me to be a co-sponsor for their group, for their dance troupe, as they prepared for competition at the Polynesian Cultural Center. The sponsors that they had didn't usually show up. I never saw them until the day of the competition. But I was there every night, and they practiced every night throughout the week, and sometimes on Saturday also as we approached the time for the competition. They prepared for the competition, but the school, as I mentioned, the school and administrators, in my opinion, were discriminating against the people in this group. We weren't allowed to use the bathrooms or the lights for practice in the evening. One day, something happened that touched my heart deeply. They were practicing into the night as they prepared in those final days before the competition. And parents and family pulled their cars up, shined their lights into the area where they were dancing so they could continue. It brought tears to my eyes. And there were students that were crying and saying, "Why won't they let us use the lights?" And I said, "But look what's happening. Your family is here and supporting you." I was so proud on that day of the competition. And I was pacing back and forth as they prepared by dressing in their costumes and getting ready to go out on stage. They did so well. It's been 20 years. I don't know if they came in first place, second place. I don't remember that now, but they're always going to be first place in my mind. Waianae High School Samoan Club, they were amazing. On one of the last days of school, they had an open house and the students were singing. And they were singing a song about the support they feel from other people, how we lift each other up. And one of the students, I heard my name called out very loudly. I heard my name spoken by one of the students in the group as they were singing. When I looked, I realized it was one of the boys in that group that I had spoken about, that I felt had been so rude, but had been so kind to me every day after. It was one of the greatest honors of my life to be a co-sponsor for the Samoan Club, and I will cherish it for the rest of my life. Thank you for listening to this story, and I hope you have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you enjoyed this story and want to hear more, and put any comments that you might have in the comments section below. Thank you very much.